More fills. C major and A minor. When I say C6, they put C6-9, but I just use a C6. I'm not worrying about the 9 chord, the C6-9 flavor. But C6 and A minor 7, they're the same chord. They're the same 4 notes. So I'm not even necessarily worrying about the A minor. I'm just thinking I'll just C stuff. So I'm going C6, but it's a beautiful shape. But I am barring here 2-2 and then 3-3. These are 4-3-2-1 strings. And that's with the G on top. That's very important that you think about what the melody note is, the G. Slide it up to the C. And it's a C6-9. Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. It's the process series for Solo Jazz Guitar Workshop. Let's get started. Hey, thanks for joining me today. And I hope you have been enjoying this workshop series, this process series. It's a little bit different and it's kind of unique, and I enjoy going through this because basically I'm going through exactly what you're looking at. I don't have anything pre-planned with these songs, and I want to go through the process with you as we do this together. And it also raises some questions I realized regarding, like, chord voicings, theory, a lot of stuff, sight reading the melody. But I'm trying to choose things that are pretty recognizable. Of course, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Everybody knows that. We are in the key of C, right? You all know that, key signature, but you can kind of hopefully tell that there's not too many accidentals. You got the C chord, the A minor, D minor, G7, C, A minor, D minor, G7. That's what we call the 1-6-2-5. You can't go wrong writing a jazz song using 1-6-2-5. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. The chart here that we're looking at, the lead sheet chart here, in this case, they're using some fancy chords right away. C6-9, F/G, C6-9. Those are pretty chords. But however, I really hope that you're looking at the bigger picture. The bass, 1-6-2-5. The F to G is just a little quick change. It's nice to do. We'll do that in our arrangement probably. Especially F/G, we'll talk about that. 1-6-2-5, this is a quick analysis. 1-6-2-5. The turnaround, 3-6-2-5 as all dominant chords. When you have a 3-6-2-5 as a turnaround, as a dominant chord, I always think of that as kind of being brighter sounding than the diatonic minor, dominant. That's what it would be if it was in the key of C, minor, 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 dominant, 3-6-2, which are all minor chords. But when you make it dominant, sounds a little jazzier, a little bluesier. So think about that when you do the turnaround next time. If you want it kind of bluesier sounding, turn the 3-6-2-5 into dominant chords. And then it repeats, 1-6-2-5, 1-6-2-5, 1-6-2-5. Oh, we have a nice little twist here. From now, our troubles seem to be miles away. We have a 2-5 going to the relative minor, the A minor here. So again, that's what I would circle. I would spot that little E7 chord here as a secondary dominant chord going to A minor. And then, so that kind of, it doesn't repeat exactly, is what I'm saying. This is just one long A section here, even though this phrase does repeat there. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. But then it goes, from now on, our troubles will be a mile away. You got to be careful of that section. And then we have yet another 2-5. See that C7 here? That's the secondary dominant chord of what? When the 1 chord turns to dominant, we're in the key of C. When the 1 turns to dominant, that says we're going to go to the 4 chord. That's very common in jazz songwriting, is that the 1 will turn to dominant, and then the B section starts off in the 4 chords. So we modulated there. If you have a question, go ahead and type in the chat. We can do the analysis We might as well do the analysis and get that done with, because I always feel like that's going to help you understand the song, understand the music of what's actually happening here. So now we've arrived to the B section, and we are in the 4 chord land. We're in the 4, the F major. Ooh, fancy. F minor major 7, that gets jazzy. We'll talk about that. E minor 7, E flat dim, D minor. This is typical 1, 6, 2, 5 back to C. Okay, so it just starts on the 4, but it quickly pulls us back to C. And then we have this F sharp half dim B7. Again, I'm not worrying about too much of the specifics, but this is a 2-5 chord progression. Hopefully you can spot that 2-5. The B7 says, hey, I'm a secondary dominant. I'm the 5 of. And I think as a courtesy, I'll go ahead and write these out for you on the whiteboard in a second. And the B is a 5 of E minor. So it's a 5 of the 3 chord. Okay, it might seem like a drastic modulation, but it's not. It's a 2-5 to the 3. And then when it hits the 3, the E flat 7 there, tritone substitution. When we have a chromatic movement there, that's a sub 4, A7. E flat is tritone, and that's just to create a chromatic bass line. And then G slash D. G over D is kind of a sus sound, and that's really the D7. You could even just do D7 for the full measure there if you wanted to. And that's going to be the 5 of the 5. D is the 5 of G. And G is a 5 of C, so we call it the 5 of 5, another secondary dominant. And then, but it turns to D minor 7, G7, and then back to the C section, which is just like the A section, but it's called the C section. And that's common as well. Sometimes the chart might just say ABA, but they're kind of respecting the lyric too. Or there's a slight change to make it different to call it a C section. This is, again, just like the A section through the years. So 1, 6, 2, 5. I'm just scanning it with you. Okay, I don't play this song often. I haven't played it since high school, probably. No, seriously, I've probably played it at my last holiday gig a couple years ago. But 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, but it's pulling us to the relative minor, A minor. So it's that E7 that I'm looking for, the dominant. That's the flag saying, hey, I'm a secondary dominant. I'm going to pull you somewhere. And it's within the key still. That's what the word secondary means. It's not the primary dominant. It's not a G7. In this case, E7 is the 5 of A minor. G minor 7, C7, that's a 2-5. There's C is the 5 saying, hi, I'm the 5 of F. And it's pulling us to the F, the 4 chord. And then we have a little quick passing chord there. Not too concerned about it. Just a walk down bass. C slash E, and then the 2, 5, 1. There we go. And it's a pretty complex song, actually. I mean, I would need a chart to play through it until I analyze it and play through it a few times. Then I can use my theory that we just went through. That will help you memorize a song. That will help you play it in any key. I'm going to do one quick thing here with you guys, just because I know I'm kind of talking about the secondary dominants, and maybe this is a review for you, but as a courtesy, this will also help you with your analysis in general. It's a courtesy theory lesson here. We have C major, D minor. These are the chords in the key of C. Yeah. However, I'm going to just omit B dim, the 7 chord. It's diminished, and it actually doesn't get a secondary dominant because it has a flat 5. So the secondary dominants are going to be related to these chords, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6. But the 1 chord is actually called the primary dominant anyways. So and that's G7. The 5 of the D minor is A7. The 5 of the E minor is B7. The 5, and again, this is how you do it. You think about what is the 5th of each one of these chords. The 5 of F is C7. So what's the 5th of G? D7. What's the 5th of A? E7. And then in jazz, often you put the 2 chord in front of it. to create this movement 2-5-1. So now you would go yet again another 5th degree. And I'm just going to go through that process as well with you here. What's the 5 of each one of these notes now? Okay, the 5th of G is, I'm going to get the text here. The 5th of Z is D, and these are going to be minor chords, the 2. E minor. The 5th of B is F sharp. The 5th of C is G minor. The 5th of D is A minor. And the 5th of E is B minor. And you're probably wondering, why are some of them minor 7 flat 5s versus just minor 7? Well, those are the ones that are going to pull us to the minor keys, or the minor chord rather. So this should be half dim, E minor half dim, if it's setting up to go to D minor. F sharp half dim, if it's setting you up to go to E minor. B minor 7 flat 5 going to E7 pulls us to A minor. If you want to play it on your guitar. So, you know, a lot of people would say, oh, that's a 2-5-1 in A minor. Yes, that's true, but in the bigger picture, we're still in the key of C, okay? So I hope this helps explain how secondary dominants are used in these jazz songs. Not only that, I use the term secondary dominant, but not only that, we also put the 2 to go with it. So it becomes a sequence 2-5-1. And again, that's what you're going to see in these tunes from any jazz song, and that's why I wanted to go through this process with you. I have worksheets on secondary dominants. Just refer to Patreon.
Please check out and consider joining me on Patreon, my online music community. Check out over 2,000 Patreon exclusive posts and lessons, including all of my solo guitar process video lessons. Also access all of my other materials exclusively on Patreon. Hope to see you.
Let's get back to the song here and do some chord melody arranging. Okay, so now we got to play the melody, and now what I'm thinking is this. I'm going to, like I said last time, I often play the melody on the 2nd and 1st string for chord melody. So I'm not going to play it like this, cowboy style. Okay, but that is the chord, that's the tune. It goes right up a C chord. I think it's nice to know that the melody is a C major triad. Okay, but we're going to harmonize it in a jazz style like this. Harmonizing the arpeggio. And by the way, here's another thing. C major and A minor, when I say C6, they put C6-9, but I just use a C6. I'm not worrying about the 9 chord, the C6-9 flavor. But C6 and A minor, they're the same chord. They're the same 4 notes. So I'm not even necessarily worrying about the A minor. I'm just thinking all just C stuff. So I'm going C6. And I call that kind of the basic swing shape, with the root on top. Okay? C6. I'm just keeping it very inside. You can make it a C. I like to demonstrate. I'm not gonna do this. That's like a good ending chord. That's C major 7. But C6 is just very inside, and it's easy to grab. Okay, that's it. So just start off with the C chord like this, cowboy. And then add that A on the 6. It's a movable shape. And then here we have an E note. I'm going to put my cursor on top of it. Here we have an E note, which is the 3rd. You could just use that open string. But I'm actually going to play C major 7 here, which is what I call a grip shape. Even the C6, I do consider that a grip shape. A grip shape I loosely use as the term as chords with the root on the 6th or 5th string. The root. And then here, what I grabbed earlier was just a C6-9 chord for the G note. And this is one of my go-to chords for sure. C6-9 is this. Okay? That's C6, 9. But if you put A in the bass instead of C, you get an A minor 11. And then I would slide that up to the 8th fret using the same shape. I often nickname this the magic shape because it's very ambiguous. It's consisting of perfect fourths stacked. Okay, and that makes it ambiguous harmonically, which makes it great for application because it's easy to move. Okay, and it sounds kind of harmonically hip. Django used it quite a bit. A lot of modern guitar players use it. So far we might have something like this. And now it's a G to the C. Same shape. That's a hack. And I like the slide, so I might even do that. Have yourself a... Okay, this is just one route. I'm not going to necessarily go through too many things. However, we're going to encounter this again, so I might vary it up later. But I won't look at the possibility right now. I'll just keep going with you guys. But again, you know, we can kind of practice that. I did hit the A in the bass on the word self. I went, but I didn't feel the need to strike the A again on the word A. Just that magic shape. Do you all have that magic shape down? Parallel fourths, E, A, D, G. It's just, and I do it like this. You can get all 4 fingers in if you wanted to. I just do it like this. I call this kind of a la Django. But it's a beautiful shape. But I am barring here 2, 2, and then 3, 3. These are 4, 3, 2, 1 strings. And that's with the G on top. That's very important that you think about what the melody note is, the G. Slide it up to the C. And it's a C6, 9, and it's a C6, 9 shape here without the third. I do have a special study on this, a worksheet. But I put the A in the bass for this part. Okay. It's a little bit tonally ambiguous. Again, in this shape, I can analyze it with you here. We got with the A, we have A, we have the E, the 5th, we've got A again, we've got D, which is the 11, and then we have G, which is a flat 7. So it's actually missing the third, the minor third. But guess what? It's here once we move. Now it's root, 11, D is 11, the 4, G, the flat 7, and the C, the flat 3. So in this version of it, we're missing the 5th. That's okay. We don't need all the notes there. We can have it be a little bit ambiguous. So again, performance-wise, and then now I'm already in position for the next chord. This is a scale, so, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, that's what I'm thinking when I see this. G, F, E, D, C, and it's on the 2 chord, D minor. So I'm grabbing this shape. That's why I call it grip shapes. Well, I stole that term from Joe Pass. He actually said grab chords, and that's what he's referring to. To me, you can just hold this chord shape, get the pinky on the G, bring out that melody, then remove the pinky so it's an F, remove your middle finger so you're on the E, okay, so it's down the scale like this, and I'm barring across the 5th fret when I'm doing that. I'm barring, I'm going so, fa, mi, and I lift up my middle finger, and then I put the pinky down on the D, on the 3rd string, so it's going down the scale, so you get this melody. But with the chord, it would sound like this. And that was kind of sloppy. I'll do it again. And it's good to plug in. If you're playing acoustic, really try to be honest with if it sounds clean. This is the practice portion of it already, too. And if you're using a pick, same, I'm using fingerstyle, but I would try it with a pick, like this. Sounds pretty clean to me. That G was a little bit sloppy there on my bass, my thumb. But this is this is more of a process versus performance right now, but also that is what I'm thinking is it playable? If it's not playable, if I have to work too hard and it sounds bad, I've got to change it and fix it so it's easy to play. I don't want to work too hard, but I want it to sound good, but I want it to be playable. Again, you know, that's very important to me. These all should be very playable. So what I did there, I'm going to go back to that D minor 7. It's a nice little riff, chord melody style, like this. Slow it down. Or do I want diminish? So what I did here on the F/G, I put the F triad, as written, F triad. They're kind of giving it to you, which is nice. It's a jazz chart. And then you can wrap your thumb around, if you can. And that F/G is another word, and F/G is another way of saying G9 sus4. Because you get the F, the flat 7, the A, which is the 9, and the C, which is the 4, the sus4. There's actually no third, so it's a suspended. And then when it says G7, and it's a D note, I'm doing that trick we talked about before, for the, where I said it's mi, re, do. In this case, it's do, re, do, 1, 2, 1. G7 or G9, I'm thinking B half dim. So I'm actually putting B in the bass instead of G in the bass for this, because that walks us back to C. So listen to the bass. G, B, C, with the F/G, B half dim, and then C6. It's a nice little phrase to really get down for solo guitar. So like this. Again, F triad. If you don't want to wrap your thumb around, you got to do this. And then that was with the C note here. And then for the D note, I'm going to B half dim. That means B minor 7 flat 5. And then you want the C in the bass, C6. So these are just some mechanics here. Listen to it when you put it in sequence, very slowly. Bring out the second string. The second string is the melody, meaning pluck it harder. If I was using a pick. But instead of the B half dim, I'm going to use fully dim, because it gives us a flat 9 flavor on the G chord. It's a G7 flat 9, like this. So it'd be this now. I did a little bluesy lick. That's a little ad lib there. So this. Or this. You choose. Again, do you want minor 7 flat 5 on the B, which is G9, and then C6? Or do you want fully dim? That's a little bit more dramatic and a little bit darker. But again, these are that's what I'm considering. Sometimes my hand just grabs in it. I can't have no control over it because it's just, by rote. But those are some considerations. Do you want it darker or not as dark? You can just review that much and just start to make it sound pretty. In the same phrase, as you notice, that's why I just kind of continued on, let your heart be light. But this time, there's no da-da-da-da-dum, there's no scale, it's just D minor 11. Just hold that G note on the pinky. I did the same thing because that's what we had done before, except we did this. We did the scale figure, but now I'm just holding the D minor 11. And that can also be done like this. For those new to the minor 11, here's D minor 7. We don't want the A on top, the 5th. We want the G, the 11. So you got to lower that second string down a whole step from the 5 to the 4. And the 4 is the 11. So you have this. It's very open sounding, very pretty. But not only that, once you're there, you might as well just do G7 like this. And keep that G ringing on the word light, okay? So D minor 11 and G7. So far we have this. In there, for filler, I just hit the chord. I went like this. I'm kind of, oh, by the way, my feel is, I'm feeling this kind of ballad, straight eighth note. I wasn't swinging it. Swinging it would be like, da, 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 da. I wasn't feeling that. I'm just thinking this. Just straight, just even eighth notes. That's the feel. They wrote D minor 7 on the chart. But if you wanted to do it as a D minor 11, that's what they should have written. You know, they're already jazzing out the chart, but they should have written D minor 11 to kind of help you to know like, oh, I better get my 11 because that's the melody. But check it out, you could do this. I'm just breaking up the chord into an arpeggio for a filler. So on that last part of it, that's just kind of an arranging idea. I'll add some filler. Okay, that's just breaking up the chord. There's that fill there that I showed you.